So it's Monday, the start of another week, and we're back out hitting the church sites that we've been doing tree risk and condition surveys for. I'm actually out in Leicester. I've been to one site already this morning in Leicester, one of my own, and I thought let's be efficient and combine it with this site. So we've picked up one of the sites that we've got in Leicester. We've got two. I'm gonna have to come back for the second because it is a very frantic morning. I am in a mad rush to get over to Loughborough because I have got to go and pick up a new vehicle. Yes, it's very sad. The BMW 1 Series will be leaving us. This is the last time you will see this car on a site doing a tree survey. Well, maybe, unless the new owner plans on doing tree surveys, but I highly doubt it. So yeah, it's all been cleaned, it's all been valeted inside, and I'm going to head over to Foss Park to meet the buyer, and then from there, and the buyer, by the way, I should say, is actually a family member. It's my brother, so my younger brother is buying this car off me. So he's getting a good deal on that. Trust me when I say that, he's getting a very good deal. Anyway, just finished this site and just checking that I haven't missed anything. Nope, I haven't missed anything. And now we are on our way to Leicester, rendezvous, then to Loughborough. It's all a bit frantic, but there is a new van reveal coming. So get excited. I'm excited. Well, I don't know if I am excited. I'm nervous. I'm apprehensive. I've never owned a van. Never bought a van. Don't know a lot about vans. Only what I've read. Only what I've learnt. But I'm trying to grow this business and change things up and get some sign writing and make it more professional. So all of these things, hopefully, will have a massive, massive effect on the business, all being well. If not, they'll have a massive effect on my bank account. Scary times. Right, nothing on this boundary. Picked up everything. The church is all done. Picked up all these trees behind me, all of these that you can see here, including the silver birch in the distance. And yeah, another site done. A few work orders raised on this one, but we'll pick up this conversation hopefully in a couple of hours, and we'll see where we go from there. Frantic. So today was meant to be a day in Dudley, but it's just gone 10 o'clock and I've spent the morning shoveling snow off the street. I also had every intention of doing a van reveal, and you might have just caught a glimpse of the van in the background. If you didn't, there's a cheeky little look there again. But it was meant to be this amazing van reveal, and I was going to talk about the van that we've just purchased, the new Innovators mobile. Needs a name. If anyone's got a good name, then I'm all ears. Drop it in the comments. But as it turns out, the van is buried in snow. What I have to say is it's really nice powdery snow as well. It's that really good stuff. If you're into skiing and snowboarding, you'd be well into this snow. If you've got any ideas for the name of the van, then let me know. But I had this massive thing planned to do a big reveal, to do a cool cinematic action sequence and to film bits and pieces of it. But yeah, that didn't really happen, did it? But we've done our good deed for the day. We've cleared all of the snow off the pavement and off the driveway and cleared most of the road. Weirdly, we actually live next door to a school, and the school hasn't been cleared. They haven't brought the snow plough down, they haven't brought the gritter down, so I'm a little bit surprised, because normally this road is absolutely clear and they normally do a good job of clearing it all up, but they must have decided they don't want to have a day at work today. We also live on a street with a sort of older demographic, so we've also helped clear across the road as well. But it's looking really, really nice. It's looking very, very wintry, very Christmassy, And the new van over here, which I am not going to give away too much yet, but you can probably start to get a good idea of the colour, which goes with our branding. And this is going to be sign written. So if I quick sneak peek here, so there's going to be sign writing all over the side here. Not massive, I don't think. Not quite sure yet. There's going to be nothing on the front. I don't want anything on the bonnet. And the back door is probably going to have a small little bit of writing on, but nothing too crazy. I kind of like the stealth black grey combination, the sporty sport van look. The only thing I was thinking is perhaps putting a sun strip across the top, because the window is massive on this van, the windscreen. So a sun strip, maybe the sun strip will have our logo on as well. Don't know. So good morning. This is the first time I've vlogged from the van, and as of yet I haven't managed to get it set up in the windscreen or on the dash. The dash is massive, but I can't find a place to put the camera, and I don't really want to put it in the windscreen, but I might have to resort to having this back in the windscreen. So this is what we've currently been mounting everything with, the Nuia big sort of heavy duty mount with a big suction cup on it. It's a really heavy duty thing, this. And I originally had it pointing down, and that might have to go the same in this windscreen here. My fear is that I'll be miles and miles away, and I'll seem, just so far from the camera, basically. Now, I didn't sleep in the back, although I can sleep in the back because the back is heavily lined and insulated. It gets very, very warm in here. But anyway, forget all that. Right now, I'm currently sat on an industrial estate in Southam in Warwickshire, and I'm about to go and see well, let's put it this way, it's going to be really interesting. I don't want to reveal too much. I'm a little bit like, I don't want to give away too much about what's going on. You will probably see updates on social media, so if you're not following me on LinkedIn, if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you're following Arb Innovators, the company, and also me personally, Callum. I'm on LinkedIn. I post regular updates on there, do quite a lot of engagement on LinkedIn. But yeah, I'm excited. The conversation this morning all centres around virtual reality, so it's all to do with some plans I've got for the business to push the business in more of a virtual reality direction. So VR for training, for immersive experiences, for showcasing sites, for better representation, visualization of results from surveys, all of that sort of stuff. But essentially, I'm looking at this from very much from an education and sort of immersive learning perspective more than anything else. But I'm really interested to understand what this company are doing a little bit more. I want to see some of the products in action, and I also would love to pick their brains on how they feel I could go about pushing this side of things a little bit more, because they've worked with some fantastic people over the last few years, and people that are doing exactly what I want to do in different industries, but I want to do it in this space, in arboriculture. But they've worked with people in the fire and rescue service and all those sort of things, and I want to understand how they've really sort of been able to capitalise and almost become a bit of a thought leader on that thing. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I'm really excited for today, and I'll try and film bits where I can, but it's going to be a pretty intense meeting, and then I've got a site to go and do in Birmingham on the way home. So all being well, this meeting goes well, the site goes well, we get back. But the first real drive in the van as well, just done 75, 80 miles, sweet as a nut, really comfy. The windscreen's too big, so when the sun's low in the sky and it's a sunny winter's day, it blasts into your eyes, so I need to get a sun strip to deflect that. But that's fine, because that's on the agenda anyway, a branded sun strip. Well, that's my meeting at RiVR done, and it was an incredible meeting, really successful. Lots and lots talked about, lots and lots discussed, loads of things going on. And on the way back from their offices, sorry, it's incredibly bright, I decided to come and pick up another one of the church sites. So I've just gone out to this one at Nuneaton, and there's not a great deal here. There's a cherry on the boundary. There is, I can't even see. There's this Acer, looks like a palmatum. out on the front, and there's potentially a London plane tree. God, it's incredibly bright. Just put the van over there. So I'm just going to have a quick walk around, see what I can see. I think the plane tree's on the highway, actually. I'll probably pick it up, but it's freezing cold. So their boundary seems to be a line here. So I would imagine that's the boundary there, all the way down that wall. So I think the London plane tree is probably part of the highway. But here's another church to come and have a look at. Not much on this one, and a slightly different design to the others that we've been and seen. So I'll try and keep the sun out of your face. God, it is freezing cold. Come here, back. Oh, bag of stuff. Look at the VW emblem on the side and on the back doors. Nice carpeted finish. Anyway, we're not here to see the van. We're here to grab some gear. So let's grab this coat. I need this nice, thick, chunky bad boy just here because it is freezing. I think it's 3 degrees today. So you'll see that in actual fact, both sides are carpeted out, both with the VW logo. And then this lovely plush carpet that we've got here. So if push comes to shove and I absolutely had to, then yes, I could quite easily sleep in the back of here, which could be ideal in the summer months. Instead of paying for hotels, if I can find a nice camping and caravan site with a shower block and a toilet facility, then I could easily just sleep in the back of here instead of paying for hotels. So I'm just looking at the finish on this, and it's really smart, you know. Whoever's done it's done a very good job, I have to say. I've seen much worse jobs from a DIY project. This board does come out, and then you can see actually into the van, but for now it covers it over nicely. And there clearly was a bit of a window at some point, either that or they all come like that as standard, I'm not really sure. But there is no window on the outside, it is a solid door. So that's been boarded up as well. So whether there was one at some point, I don't know. But the whole thing's been carpeted and insulated. So crucially, all underneath the carpet is insulation. So like silver foil, it's like a lino that they stick all over. Silver foil sheeting that all goes down, so it's really well insulated. So it's actually quite warm. But what I'm surprised about is it's not saggy. So the roof is pretty solid. You know, they've not done a bad job, whoever's done it. I'm not fully sure how they've done it, but I ain't going to question it as long as it stays up, or if I have to fix it, I'll fix it. Some of these brackets are a little bit of a bodge job, if I'm honest, and it's missing a few screws here and there, but, you know, it's not the worst job I've ever seen. Anyway, that's probably enough talk on the van, but you finally get to see the van in all its glory, sat here behind me. I'm going to crack on and pick up these trees because I actually have work to do, and I've got to get back in time for a site meeting. Not a site meeting, a meeting at home. So another site done. I'm just about to head home. I'm just looking at the traffic situation that's going on. Quite a straightforward one. I ended up actually picking up the sycamore and a Prunus persardii and a hornbeam on the boundary because they overhung the site, and two of the trees, the sycamore and the hornbeam, had branches that were growing over or into the lamp column. So because the lamp column is managed by the churches, I thought, well, I'm going to pick them up and just get them to prune, a little bit of a clearance prune around the lamp column so it doesn't damage the lamp, but also so the lamp can still emit as much light levels as needed over the car park, particularly at this time of year as it gets darker. So now I'm back in the van, and one thing I do love about this van is it gets warm nice and quickly, and it needs to on a day like today. It is so cold. My ears, my tabs are freezing. But yeah, another site done. So quite a productive day, really. Managed to get over to have a look and discuss all the options and all the things that are available for VR. And then managed to get over here to do one of our church sites. So that's another one off the list. Now I can head home. I should be back, all being well, if the traffic is kind to me, in time to do a little bit of paperwork. And then I can finish on time for once. Well, I say on time, I never actually finish on time, and I'm always busy doing lots and lots of things. But it was such a productive meeting. I've got a head full of ideas. I've got stuff that I need to write down and make a note of, and I'm pleased to say that some of the discussions, if you remember last week, I was at the NEC, and you can watch that episode up here if you haven't seen it already. But some of the discussions I had with a couple of people off the back of that have come up trumps, and we have got stuff scheduled in the diary, which is really exciting. I've got a meeting with 2 colleges. I have a discussion with a huge industry organisation, and I have another meeting lined up with another training provider, and I won't go too much detail into that at the moment. But essentially, meeting the team over at RiVR now means that I have an idea of how this solution can be brought to a much bigger audience, and how I can get some of my 360 immersive content and 3D models into linked up virtual reality headsets. And that is the aim here, is to make this almost teaching aid or classroom solution. So it was really good to see the team. I've met Alex virtually, the guy at RiVR. I think he's a co-owner or owner, I don't know. Apologies, Alex, if you're watching this and got that wrong. But I've met Alex on TikTok, and we've chatted back and forth over TikTok and shared videos and engaged with each other that way. But to meet them in person and then talk about all the options and all the stuff they're doing, the amazing work they're doing with companies like Tesla, with the fire service, with lots and lots of police services, or what do they call it? Like police... Anyway, different police stations. No, what are we thinking here? Different constabulary forces, different police forces across the UK, depending on what region they're in. Loads and loads and loads and loads of companies, and the application is so far and widespreading, and it just needs somebody to bring it together and bring it into this industry, which is what I'm hoping to do. So really fruitful discussions, lots to talk about, lots of ideas, lots of things to write down, lots of things to plan alongside them to get their involvement with helping demo in certain things. So yeah, really positive, and I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited for the future of Arb Innovators and the future of this concept that I'm putting together. I'm excited by the van. I'm absolutely loving the van. Not worked out how far away you are, where you're going to be placed, all of that sort of stuff yet. There's so much dashboard in front of me. I mean, I'm not even touching the dashboard, and I've got my arms full stretched. There's loads of dashboard, loads of place. I need to figure that out so that we can do the drive and talk. And so far, I haven't done the drive and talk and then heard the road noise. So how that's going to be, I don't know. Tomorrow, Dudley, Friday, Dudley, Saturday, Sunday, back on the church train. So I'm going to be back out trying to hit as many church sites over Saturday, Sunday as I can, because it's coming up to the end of the month. So I'm aware that I've got billing to do. I am pleased to say that I've finally been paid. I was outstanding nearly £7,500 worth of invoices. That's down to about 2,000 now, which is great. A little bit of pestering, a little bit of badgering those clients for that, and they have finally paid the bills, which is good. You shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to be chasing people to get money out of them, but that's business. So yeah, at the moment, things are tickety-boom and moving along. Right, I'm going to hit the road, and I am also going to figure out where I can put my charger. I have a slight problem with this truck. With it being slightly older, it only has an aux cable, so I've had to buy an aux to USB-C, which means I can then have my Spotify linked to it to listen to podcasts, because I like to listen to podcasts when I'm driving. Very rarely listen to the radio. But this is an aux to USB-C, which doesn't power the phone, so therefore you're draining the battery by having it plugged in here to play your music, and then I need to plug this into the 12 volt, which means if I plug this into, or the phone into the 12 volt, I then don't get charged if I unplug it and plug it into the charge, and then don't get music or podcasts. So yeah, it's got a parrot system, so my Bluetooth phone works through all that, hands-free, great. But yeah, a little bit lacking on this front. I need to figure that out. Probably going to upgrade the stereo system in here and have the new VW one, because I've heard it's a pretty much straight swap. You pull that old unit out, put the new one in, and you'll have CarPlay and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm going to look into doing that. because it's a bit of a pain not being able to listen to my podcast and charge my phone because the amount I use my phone on sites and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's the rambling over. Time to head home, and I shall catch up with you tomorrow. So it's Friday morning, and it is a brisk morning. It is absolutely freezing. I'm back out on the church site, currently in Loughborough. We're going to head to Nuneaton, Tamworth, and then we're going to go to Lichfield. So we're going to do a bit of a loop all the way around back home. Tomorrow we're back out on church site, so we're working on a Saturday again, which is mega stressful, but it is what it is. The van, I'm pleased to say, is here, and it's up and running, and it's doing a good job. There is something that's starting to annoy me a little bit about the van. And what are we in? Day 5. So I picked the van up on Monday. It's now Friday. I've had the van for 5 days. And the mean streets of Dudley are not kind to the van. It's struggling a little bit. It doesn't feel as nice to drive around, hop in, hop out, do one inquiry after the other, where the pace is sort of 2-3 minutes between each job and you're driving. It feels like you're driving a van. It's quite heavy. It's quite sluggish. It's not sluggish, but it just feels like on those roads it's not ideal for just nipping in between, which I find quite odd, because if you imagine like an Amazon parcel delivery driver or a courier, they'll be hopping in and out the van quite regularly from one place to another, stop, start, stop, start. It just doesn't feel quite right. Yeah, and the other thing is the alloys. The alloys look amazing. They are very swish, very stylish, but there's a slight problem with the roads of Britain and these alloys. Let me show you what I mean. So the actual alloy here sticks out further than the wheel. Now you might think, well, what's the problem there? Well, these are very, very, very low profile wheels. These are kind of street racing, slick tyres, which are not great in this icy weather either. But the other issue is, if you hit a pothole and you edge a pothole, the roads are littered with potholes, particularly in Dudley, then you end up in a situation where the edge drops off. So all you need to do, drive, you drop off the edge and it catches the edge of the rim. So yesterday I noticed that there was already 3 scuffs on my alloys, which when they're black does not hide scuffs, scrapes and scratches. It shows up every little imperfection and detail you can imagine. So already my very nice, very beautiful looking black velar wheels are scuffed, scraped and scratched after 5 days of driving, which is madness. Now I have to bear in mind that this van last year did 100 miles. So there was 100 miles between last year's MOT and this year's MOT. To put that into perspective, I have done this week 362 miles already in this van. So there was 100 miles in a year, which I can't even fathom that. That's less than 10 miles a month. Doesn't make any sense. But I have already, this week, in 5 days, done 360 miles. So this van's done more in 5 days than it did in over a year. No wonder the alloys look pristine, but how long they'll stay like that, I don't know. Right, I'm going to avoid this shower of melting sludge. I do not want to shower today. Thank you very much. Ugh, gross. On to the next site. So we're out here in Lichfield, and this is another site done. You actually missed Tamworth. I went to Tamworth, but there was absolutely nothing there, so there was no point in showing you that. There was like 3 trees, none of them needed works. This one, it's got a little bit more about it. There is quite a few mature trees. I can't remember the exact number, about 11, but yeah, it's been a busy one. And I tell you what, when the sun goes in, because in the sun it's quite warm, when the sun goes in, my gosh, does the temperature drop. The Arboriculture's wagon is starting to look a little bit more like a work vehicle as well as the surveys rock on by. It's certainly not as shiny as it was when I picked it up, let's put it that way. When I picked it up, it looked like it was fresh from the showroom, but yeah, now it's definitely not looking like that anymore. But it is a work van, so I guess that's what's meant to happen, right? It can't look box fresh all of the time. You might have seen that this tree out the front, this lime tree and this birch tree, I was taking particular interest in and taking my time. That is because I've noticed a couple of risk features. So quite characteristic of lime, really. We've got some included unions, predominant stem with inclusion. We've also got a second stem with inclusion. And then the birch tree in the background, if it has just always been like that, and actually the lawn doesn't, I don't know how to say this, like maybe they don't mow that close to the tree, so maybe they leave a sort of metre radius circle around this tree. So I've made a note to reduce the inspection frequency from 3 years to 1 year and just monitor that. So I've took some photos of the root plate and of the area of ground and just said in the notes that subsequent inspections should really look to monitor if there's any change. There are also some broken, suspended, hanging branches in the lower crown of this lime tree. So I've recommended that they are removed as well. There's actually one just above my head here, you can see. They're pretty well suspended. They're hung up in that crown. They're not going anywhere, but still, I would rather take them out because the main path leading up to the church, there's 2 entrances, and that goes up to one of them. So it would make sense to remove that. Out the front, not a lot going on. There's an elder tree on the boundary that needs some attention. It's not dead, but it's barely hanging on. Again, you've got quite a lot of decay set in, and then the crown is completely covered in ivy. Not much live growth on there, and the target you can see in the background, the skull. I don't know if the low-lying sun is stopping you from being able to see, but in the distance you can see the iconic Lichfield cathedral spires. A sort of very gothic cathedral as it is in Lichfield. But yeah, as I was saying, the trees are all of a very, very similar age. All the sites are of a very similar age. So most of these trees are probably in the region of 30 to 50 years old on average. So most of them haven't really had time to establish too many risk features. They've all been probably municipally managed by the grounds team, the landscape team that do all the lawns and everything else. So you find that they're generally in quite good condition. You know, they've got very little dead wood. They've been crown lifted over car parking. Any sort of nuisance branches encroaching on structures and lamp columns and all that sort of stuff have been pruned back. So yeah, generally there isn't that much going on with many of the trees on this site. But there we go. Anyway, now it is going to be back to the office, and it's been quite nice as I've been walking around this site. I've been getting some WhatsApp messages from some of my former colleagues, and James, a good friend of mine now, as I've mentioned James in many, many vlogs. They're all sending me pictures of my article in the Arbor Association magazine. So our industry body has a magazine, I think it comes out quarterly, so I think they do like a spring, summer, autumn, winter. I may be wrong, it might be more frequent than that, but I got asked to write an article following the conference where I was invited to talk, and I did one on AI and talking about large language models and generative AI and the do's and don'ts and how to use it and why you should start using it. And it's just come out, so those guys have been sending me photos going, this is great. it's really weird for me to be in the science and opinion section of a magazine that I have read for going on for probably 20 years now. So to actually be featured in the science opinion, to think back all those times I've read that magazine, never thought I'd be in the science and opinion section. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of cool. It's kind of surreal. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's I'd forgot all about the article as well. Like I wrote it probably middle of September. I don't know, maybe later. But I forgot all about it. So it was quite nice to be messages pinging up saying we've seen it and, you know, look forward to reading this. So that's nice. Anyway, now it is time to go back home. I'm going to hit rush hour traffic. It is what it is. It's a Friday night. So I've just walked through the door to the most random thing ever. A parcel. And on it, it's the Brownie Box UK. Not quite sure who sent these, but there you go. All that was inside it was this, which is very random, and some heating instructions, but they do look absolutely delicious. This one particularly with a Freddo on. I think that's Kinder Bueno, a flake, some Galaxy, and then there's a chocolate orange, not my favourite. I think the technical term is dense. In other news, not brownie related, I got home and I do not have my Arbor Association magazine, so I can't show you the article, but I will do when I receive it. Random giraffe. It's Saturday. I'm coming to you live from the van. I haven't actually got van cam set up yet. I need to get the van cam set back up. I might do that today. It is horrendous weather, and I've dragged my butt all the way to Lincoln only to find that this church has 0 trees on it. On the aerial it looked like it had some trees. On Street View it looked like it had some trees. Street View was a few months out of date. Turns out there is a new road being constructed right next to the site, so any trees that were on the boundary appear to have been removed, and there is a little piddly tree in the corner of the car park which I am going to survey from the van. I can literally pull up alongside it, so I'm going to sit here because it's disgusting. It's hammering it down, and it's a Saturday, and I don't want to get particularly that wet on a Saturday. It's my weekend after all, so I'm going to try and stay as dry as possible. There are a couple of birch trees on the boundary that I'm going to go and probably have a walk because they overhang the site and they're quite close to the church, so I'm going to need to have a look at them and see if there's any pruning back needed. But I'm going to group them because they're off-site and I can't see the stems. They're behind a boundary fence, a 2.2 metre high, roughly, fence. So it's all going to have to be an approximation. So I'm going to pick this one up from the van, and then we'll get van cam set back up. I did it looking a bit like a masked masked Avenger. I kind of blend in with the background a little bit. Yeah, a couple of big silver birch trees in the land next door, routinely cut back. They look absolutely awful. Whoever did it should be ashamed of themselves, but there we go. Some of them have been pollarded, some of them have just been completely topped. I wouldn't even say it's pollarding. Pollarding's kind. They've just been topped. Yeah, so I'm going to pop them as a little group, and then on to the next one, on to workshop. So yeah, all good, all good. Apart from the weather. But there we go. We rock on. The plan today was actually to do 3 sites. It was to do Lincoln, Worksop, Chesterfield, but I'm just going to go and do Worksop. It depends. If it's as quick as this one, I'm going to do Chesterfield as well. But anyway, right, I'm going to get out of this car park because the gate's wide open and I don't want people to drive in. You know, we've got to keep the sites fairly secure. So I didn't jump out and lock the gate like I normally do because it didn't look like I was going to be here that long. Right, crack on. See you in Worksop. So I've just finished up at Worksop and I didn't film it because it is hammering it down, as you can probably tell by my rather messy and soaking wet hair. I'm also going to make this pretty quick because the ND filter on the camera is going to get covered in droplets of rain. Another wet, wild survey. It's actually really windy as well. I don't know if this is Storm Bert or something like that. Not much of note A couple of trees in the background, they're off site, sycamore, ash, pick them up anyway. Ash has got what looks like ash dieback. They're very sparse, thinning. There's this massive boundary wall, no tree cover along here. In the distance, there is a big, mature copper beech tree situated off-site, but because it overhangs the site by up to 7 or 8 metres, I have picked it up. There's a silver birch, and then there's a robinia and a silver birch on the entrance, which is looking pretty sorry for itself. Anyway, pick those up, recommended a couple of bits of work. Silver birch clear phone lines, robinia deadwood in, and reduced inspection frequency, because the deadwood is quite extensive, so it looks like it's suffering from a little bit of low vigour vitality. Always get those two words mixed up. So yeah, recommended some deadwooding on that, but I think that it will be about 30% of the crown because there's a lot of deadwood in it. Anyway, that's about it. Contemplated picking up the hollies on the boundary, but they are the responsibility of the site next door, so I was in two minds. I've left them off, but I've got some details should I need to add them. Now I'm going to head back home. I've got lots of jobs to get on with. And it's starting to hammer it down again. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this week. It's been a bit crazy. It's been a bit wild. Last week was the same. We didn't really do what we said we were going to do. It was all a bit over the place, and I didn't film certain days. That's happened again this week. The snow has thrown a little bit of things into the mix and into the works, which meant we had to change our plans. Things had to change, move around. But I've hoped you enjoyed it. I am trying to make the content as varied as possible, and I'll try my best to continue to make it a little bit better, to increase the production value and show you more insight into running a small business. But for now, from a wet, cold, rainy workshop, I'm signing off. I'll catch you on Monday.